It is up, everyone. This is Captain Eon speaking, and for today's share, I'd like to briefly talk on the idea of because of knowledge. And this is really centered around the script that God wrote for me today, specifically in chapter 6, verses 20 to 21 of today's treatment. When I was coming up as a youngster, there was this term that was used a lot in the circles I ran with. And anyone familiar with the hip-hop generation of like the 90s should be familiar with the phrase of kicking knowledge. And this was a big thing back then, and it seems to have carried over into today, whereas it seems as if nowadays everybody's an expert at least something. Now, we're all familiar, or at least I am, and I'm assuming you, the listener, are familiar with the phrase that knowledge is power. And if this is truly the case, I pose the question, can knowing too much, and that too much is italicized, emphasized, can knowing too much render one powerless? My first thought when faced with the question posed is to think on what I feel is a fact that because everyone is an expert and everyone is out there teaching what they know, in my opinion, with the increase of teachers comes the reciprocal, the decrease in students. And from my understanding, a disciple is a student. What I've also come to realize is that a person that knows everything, a know-it-all, usually BS's their way through life. And the reason I say this is because have you ever encountered someone you were turned around? Well, when I'm saying you, I'm talking about me. I've had moments where I've been turned around and couldn't really find my way somewhere and have stopped and asked for directions. And I have encountered individuals who themselves did not know, exactly how to direct me on where I was going. And I might answer the question prematurely, but this person could not muster up the strength to admit, hey, I really don't know. I'm sorry, I can't really help you. But instead put on a facade and instead gave an air of power by giving me directions, only to realize that there was no knowledge involved. It was just, hot air. And so, not only is powerlessness a bad thing, but it usually is contagious, very contagious. Whereas this person is going through life not being able to, in my opinion, grow, because the ability to grow takes a perspective upon self, very introspective, critiquing, questioning, and without the ability to humble oneself, or without the knowledge of what true humility is, one can end up living a life powerless. I think I said all that to say, come back around and ultimately more concisely answer the question that I believe that too much knowledge, again, using that too much loosely in the term of what you are knowing. What do you know? And how are you applying what you know? Proving wisdom. Too much of knowing too much, I think, is a more simpler and better way to put that, does truly render one powerless. Again, I answered the question prematurely, but I'm confirming that yes, I believe knowing too much can render one powerless. And to support my viewpoint, I fall back on and present to you all, the listening audience, to consider, if you will, that disobedience was ushered into humanity, into this world, because of knowledge of good and evil. Caption this. The more you know, the less spiritually you can grow.